Yeah. Should we talk hoops?
Yeah, let's talk Indiana hoops. Do you want to start with Garzon going to
We talked about that last week.
Maryland?
Oh, she went to Maryland?
No, she committed to Maryland.
Yeah, I guess that did happen since we talked about her leaving. Man, it feels like tampering. It really does. Maryland's a pretty elite basketball program. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what they're doing. And yeah, unfortunate because it feels like Terry Moran can needs everything she can get when it comes to like the talent.
We just broke that news to Abel. I feel horrible.
Oh no.
Yeah. Garzon hit the portal last week, committed to Maryland.
And then committed in conference to Maryland. Nightmare because Maryland's already good. Like, oh no. So it's gonna be tough. Yeah, definitely for money. Definitely.
The rumors are
I'm starting the rumor.
Like I can't imagine it being it for money. If Terry Moran's not getting the financial backing that she deserves, like that's a bigger issue. So but then if it wasn't about money, then you have to be like, what was it about? And then you don't want to speculate about anything like that. So it's just the whole situation sucks. Like obviously for Garzon, like the person, like I hope she has like, what's best for her, but like as an Indiana basketball fan, like that sucks. Like I gotta, not only do I not get to root for her, but now I have to, like, she's going to play against us like that. That sucks. But it hasn't been all quiet on the Western Front for Indiana women's basketball. They brought in Arkansas transfer Phoenix Stoughton, I think. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. They also brought in former Miss Basketball from Indiana, Chloe Spreen.
Love it. Yeah, cool. I mean, you gotta replace. It just sucks because it's very clear to me that Garzon is like at the level of. She's probably like a better WNBA prospect than Mackenzie Holmes. Probably at that Grace Berger level, who I've always been very high on, and I think is not getting enough opportunity in the W. To be honest, like you talk about a 6'1" guard with a handle. That's Garzon. She's like 6'2" with a handle, can shoot, can do it all. She can definitely play in the W. And yeah, gonna miss out on those 2 years. And I'm calling it out. I'm calling out tampering. I'm calling it. I hope. I've said it before. Like I hope Indiana tampers in a lot of sports personally. So like I really can't get too upset about it. But I'm calling tampering on Maryland. I'm calling it. And I guess all fair play. I guess if I'm going to continue encouraging that from our end, I guess I can't be too unhappy if it happens against us. I don't know if she was unhappy. I don't know Garzon personally, but she clearly made a decision, and clearly
she's not here anymore.
At Maryland made her happier than the opportunity at Indiana, or else she wouldn't be there. So whether that's money or I can't imagine it's PT. She's going to get 40. Maybe she just wants to compete and win. Maybe that could be an aspect of it. You never know. It seems like, especially in hoops, it's starting to become a 1 year pay to play type system, which is really unfortunate. But I think that leads to a good transition for Indiana men's hoops when we talk about the Final Four and how these types of teams were constructed and what Indiana should look for. I mean, Florida just won a national title with 0 top 100 recruits. And I would say Qianlu was technically a 101, number 101 recruit in his class. So he didn't fit the top 100. But I would argue that he's probably like the worst basketball player, probably one of the better athletes. But like as a basketball player, probably, just he's kind of a spaz. Like you saw him like fall into Javier Francis yesterday and like his arms just flailing everywhere. Like freak athlete, but just like not the most coordinated like basketball player I've ever seen in my life, but definitely a good rim protector for sure. And the fact that Florida was able to surround that with a bunch of, mid-major guys that they kind of brought in throughout time, Elijah Martin, only 1 year there, but went to FAU, went to a Final Four there. Clearly a talented player. We'll see him in the NBA. Will Richard, who I think is going to be an NBA guy as well. I see Martin and Richard as late first round picks. I see Clayton as a lottery pick. I mean, it just reminds me of Jalen. It's like Clayton reminds me of Jalen Brunson, like just automatic scorer, can do it all. Like maybe yeah. So what? He's 6'1", but that boy nice. Like that boy nice, and that's a guy that you should will get tick on an NBA roster, can score, and it's just about him kind of finding his role, maybe as a backup point guard at first, like Jalen Brunson, and then kind of working his way into a rotation as he continues to develop. I think a lot of NBA player, I think it's going to start soon to where obviously you want to take the freshmen that are averaging like your Jeremiah Fears. Those guys are going to be lottery picks. Like they're hooping as a freshman, like dropping 18 as a freshman in college. Like, yeah, go lottery. But you got to start thinking about, taking the guys that are the best players right now, like not overthinking, like, oh, he's a senior, he's 22 years old. Like Steph Curry was 22 coming out of college too, and he had enough time to win four rings. Like the idea that you just overlook a guy because of their age is ludicrous to me. When you look at all the guys that have been successful, it's always the guys that were the best in college turn out to be. I'm sick of wasting these draft picks on these potential guys when there's plenty of great players around college basketball, especially with the portal keeping them around. Like it's a better developmental league than the G League to get them in. Like if you're in the G League, I'm not gonna if you're in the G League, you're not very rarely gonna end up getting called up and like making a playoff roster and gonna be like getting a significant amount of tick. Like you gotta look for guys that like Dalton Connects that can, top scorer in college. Yeah, we'll make him the 8th option on the Lakers. Like that makes sense to me. This idea that we're just gonna overlook this guy who averaged 25 in the tournament because he's older is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous to me. So I don't know. But I guess to bring it back to Indiana, like when we look at this roster construction and how it's going, I think first off, people are complaining that, we're not doing enough and everyone's freaking out. First off, the timing, like honestly, we're top 10 in 24/7's transfer portal rankings right now. I don't.
Yeah, no, it's funny. The reason why,
like all the freak outs, like we just got to find right fits, right? Like that should be the key. And it couldn't have been any more telling than what we were watching in the Final Four over the weekend.
Well, I was going to say the reason why I was able to see Miles Teller popping up at Upstairs Pub right now is because we got hosed last week, like briefly mentioning Conwell and Josh Dix basically committing back to, or Powell basically committing back to back to different programs. So I have Twitter open right now, but like even when we were talking a week ago, I don't think Enright or Tucker DeVries were official. Fast forward a week, like you said, there's a top 10 class on 24/7. Reed Bailey is like he might be one of the best players in the country. Like that dude is ridiculous. I guess I don't want to put like lofty expectations on a guy, but like is a dude who averaged almost 19 points, can shoot from the outside, scores in post ups. Like that's a really legit player you're adding right there. Like it's hard to score 18 points per game at any level of college basketball. He's the first team all conference scorer.
Yeah. He's averaged 18 at Davidson last year. I think he comes in just based on the 5 guys that we have. I'm going to include Goody to make it 5. So we have a little starting 5 right now. Yeah, I see Bailey as right now he would have to be the starting 5, but I see him more as a 4. You saw all 4 of those teams in the Final Four. They start 2 bigs, whether it's Cardwell and Broom, flagging Malawak, Roberts and Tugler, and then who's Florida Condon and Chenulu, but they also have, Tommy Hogg who comes off the bench as well. A lot of bigs out the wazoo. You got to start big, and obviously it didn't work at Indiana because I hate trashing players, but Malik Reneau just couldn't. It just didn't work with like the other. I don't know why. It just defensively it didn't work. I think Reed Bailey is just going to bring a lot more. Obviously he has that score. I think he's a better scorer, just more well-rounded than Malik Reneau is at scoring. And Malik Reneau is a hell of a scorer, but he's never averaged even 18.
Like Khalil Ware was a really impressive outside shooter for his size. Like I think Reed Bailey shot 46% on catch and shoot.
Didn't have any guard play like that. Issue. They just didn't have any guard play. Like actually, like Reneau and Ware actually makes a ton of sense because like Reneau could stretch or Ware can stretch it out, and then you got Reneau in the post. You can kind of do some some triangle action there. With Reneau and Ballo, it's like, okay, we got 2 guys that need it on the block. Like they're not going to face you up and get a bucket. Reed Bailey can take the ball anywhere on the court and score it anywhere on the court. You can drive it from the 3-point line. You can shoot it from the 3-point line. Obviously, you think he's a 41% 3-point shooter.
Yeah, he can score in ISO, and he can pass. He's a great passer too. Like his highlights are impressive.
Yeah, he's very, very well-rounded basketball player. 6'10". I think you bring that in at the 4, pair him with a very athletic rim protector who's not so focused on scoring, but more so grabbing rebounds and defending and being able to switch. Like Reed Bailey can switch, at least. Like he can definitely switch on a guard and hold his own for a little bit for a possession and be, not a net negative like a lot of those Indiana guys were on the roster last year when it came to that type of stuff. I'm not, he's not the best rim protector in the world, but give him a rim protector. We're looking at a pretty good front court already to pair with what we're looking at with Tucker DeVries, who's still I see as the best player on the team, at least from a scoring standpoint. Probably going to be the first option, at least because he's a guard or he's a legit small. I mean, Reed Bailey averaged 18. Like, don't get me wrong, it's going to be nice having DeVries and Bailey together, 2 very good guys that can get buckets. Tucker more so, a 3, a shooting guard, a 3, going to be on the perimeter. But then you got Reed Bailey as an option, kind of as a big option if you get a matchup that you like. So it's nice being able to go inside outside like that. It'll be a nice little pair to have that. Just think, Reed Bailey gets it on the outside, he's driving in, kicks it out to DeVries or Goody, whoever's out there, and and then you bring it and then sprinkle in a little Connor Enright. Like we were talking about this before the show. Like the last time Indiana had a guy that averaged 6 assists was Yogi Ferrell, and Enright averaged 7 and 6 last year. He has a really nice jump shot. He's really sneaky finisher too. He has this little scoop shot that somehow, goes in. Sometimes I'm sure he gets swatted all the time being a smaller guy, but he's a creative finisher around the rim, and he's a very, very smart basketball player. And I think, and he's not like when I was watching him, I kind of pictured like kind of a little scrawny, white kid playing point guard. Obviously, probably, I was thinking more like Steve Nash. He's kind of he's a built guy, Enright, from watching him. He's very, very athletic, can definitely hang in the Big Ten defensively, I think. And just having him being on DeVries's roster 2 years ago at Drake, I think just brings in a big culture guy early on to go along with Tucker to kind of set, the standard that, very similar to what was needed with Signetti, bringing in some of his guys going into that first year. I think, we're going to really rely on Enright and DeVries down the stretch. I see DeVries and Bailey as starters. Sisley, ideally as a freshman, comes off the bench. Goody would be ideal if he also came off the bench just as a nice shooter, but wouldn't hate it if he started. Just having, Tucker and Goody out there at the same time. Don't hate that at all. But they're kind of, they're both 3s, I would say. So kind of just switching them off would be kind of nice rotation-wise. And then, mixing Enright, maybe he could start. Like, I wouldn't hate it, but it would be nice to have him maybe come off the bench as like the backup point guard. I think I was alluding to it. Like, you have a game, we're starting out slow. It's a 10-2 run by the other team. All right, we're putting in Enright. He's gonna kind of calm the waves a little bit. We're gonna run some offense. We're gonna get back to basics here and try to chip our way back into the game. That's how I kind of see Connor Enright, kind of a guy that can come in, slow it down, knows exactly what DeVries wants to have happen. And I need to start calling him D-Rock or something like that, because I think we keep getting corrected by how to pronounce his name. Darren DeVries. We're going to say
it's DeVries. It's
DeVries. So I've had it right. But D-Rock,
yeah,
is having his guys there. Enright's super solid. But just like from a talent perspective, like would love, if we can upgrade that spot would be ideal. But Enright, definitely a Big Ten quality type player from what I was saying. You don't averaging 6 assists at the college level is very hard. They don't give assists out as much as they do in the NBA. It's a much harder stat to attain. I don't know if that I said it well, but they don't like, you don't have as many assists in college as you do in the NBA for whatever. They just don't give them out. They're more stingent with it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
No, it does. But I think the important thing to remember, and it's definitely calmed down in the last week, given we finally got the DeVries announcement. We got Reed Bailey. Like, there's heavy smoke on Lamar Wilkerson, although like I'm pulling back a little bit because I saw Time posting he's probably going to commit within a day or so. He hasn't committed yet, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. But like he's like DeVries is bringing in his guys. Like there is a plan in place. They're building the staff. Like it's not they're not just like running around like swinging and missing on guys after throwing money at them. Like there is a plan. They're strategically spending. They're bringing in guys that they believe are going to help the culture. And like 2 weeks ago, everybody was like, we don't have anybody on the roster, and I didn't even know who Reed Bailey was. Like I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm like this huge college basketball fan. I'm an Indiana basketball fan. I love this program, and that's why I talk about it. But like the guys who are paid to watch the sport and coach in it and are making a shitload of money doing it are there for a reason. And if you believe in Scott Dolson the way I do, then like you understand that you hope he put the right guy in place. So I know they have the financial backing. It came out today from the Wall Street Journal that Indiana was the third most profitable, or I think like valued
highest
at
valuation.
Third highest valued college basketball program in the country. So like, it's just have faith that they're getting the right guys in here. And I keep falling back to that April 18th to 21st deadline, but he already just DeVries already just beat it. Like Reed Bailey was first team all conference at Davidson. Like that's an impact guy you're bringing in. Is he going to be first team all conference in the Big Ten? That's not what I'm telling you, but that's a really high impact guy they just brought in.
Proven.
A very solid piece. And it's the best outside shooter they've had for somebody who's 7 foot tall, 6'10". Since Ware, and we didn't really get to see Ware's full potential because of the team around him. So you hope that there's legit floor spacing that they just brought in, but like there's a vision in place, and that's what's exciting. And they're shooting all over the floor, which is also really exciting.
Yeah, a lot of these mid-major transfers, especially at the big, like Danny Wolf, Vlad Golding, John Tonji, like all mid-major guys that came in and made instant all-league impacts on their teams. And to rule that out just because they're not – like I like the fact that we're getting these mid-major guys because that seems to be what works. Like we all saw that starting graphics of all the Sweet 16 teams, a lot of mid-major logos on in that graphic, a lot of them. So I wouldn't write these guys off just from where they've spent their last few days at college. They all put up really good numbers. Wilkerson, if we do end up, that's where a lot of smoke is. He averaged 18 at Sam Houston. I love that. Another guy that I know for a fact can score at the college level. Averaging 18 is not easy at all. If he's averaging 13, I'd be a little more skeptical. But 18 is an eyebrow raiser for me at the college level in a 40-minute game. That's hard to do consistently. So, liking what I'm seeing, excited for the progress. I think kind of closing thoughts, I guess. Like, I think we're a lot more athletic than a lot of people think. I think Enright and Bailey are kind of getting slighted by how athletic they are. I don't think DeVries is the best athlete from what I've seen from him, but he can shoot the shit out of the ball. I know that. And then obviously there's Goody, who I think is athletic, but I think Bailey and Enright are like a step above like a Luke Goody defensively. And Luke Goody gave it his all effort wise on the defensive end. So as long as they're doing that, they're gonna be just fine. Like a switch on Reed Bailey, like I'm not gonna be stressing. I'm gonna be a lot comparing him into Malik Reneau because that's what I think the role he's taking on. Like you switch a guard onto Reneau, switch a guard onto Reed Bailey. Like I like Reed Bailey to kind of hold his own a little bit more there. He's longer. He has the lateral quickness that I think Renew lacks, and it's gonna add on to this team. I think we got actually a little bit more athletic at the 4 spot, which is crazy to say, but I think it's the truth with Reed Bailey. I'm very excited about that pickup. And Enright, I wasn't as thrilled when the commitment happened, but after watching some film, I'm like, okay, I understand it now. I get it. All right, he can play. The kid Enright, by the way, he has limitless range. I've seen him
limitless range.
Oh, he'll shoot it from anywhere. I'm not saying he's going to shoot it efficiently, but he has range. I'll say that. He can knock it. He's got a good looking jumper. He can hit transition threes, hit corner threes. He can shoot it from the logo. All these guys they brought in can shoot, which is really exciting. All 5 guys we have on the roster, including Luke Goody, can really shoot the ball. And that's something that this team has been begging for 8 years. So the fact that maybe we have to give up, which I don't even think is true, give up some athleticism to make up for that, like, might be a sacrifice I'm willing to make, because shot making has been a big issue for this program for 8 years now, and they've just been lacking it. And so to bring in shot makers is very important. And all 5 guys, I believe, can do that. Obviously, the freshmen don't know, got to prove it for me. But, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, last week there was nobody on the roster. This week we have 4, 5 if you include Goody. Like it's coming together. So my closing thought would just be stay the course. We have a shitload of money to spend, and there's literally 2,000 players in the portal. Like we're gonna end up with a really good team, and like I don't know what that means for how the season plays out, but I think it means we're in store for a really exciting Hoosier basketball season. So, yeah, again, as time passes, like the title of this one is Greatness Takes Time, and it takes time to put together a really impressive roster. And so keep giving the staff time, and I think we'll end up in a good spot.
Yeah, I think
how I want to end the
I think a realistic goal would just be like make the tournament, here's another funny, like not really related, but here's a kind of funny tidbit this was the first ever championship since 1979 where a freshman didn't get a single minute in the national title game. So I think bringing in seniors, I think makes a big impact. Obviously the 5th years are going away in terms of just there's less of them out there. Obviously there's going to be 5th years around, like Goody, for example, DeVries, a couple of them on Indiana's team, but there's just going to be less of them around across the board. So the more seniors that you can bring into a roster, it seems to really correlate to how far you can go into the tournament.